What is going on, friends and fellow artists? This is Matt, aka Mr.E in 3D. And guys, I'm excited about today's video because we are going to be starting the second original character for the channel. This time around, we are going to be creating Karin, the Orc Rogue, to complement our first character, Karin, the Orc Warrior. Now, Karin is Karin's wife within the lore. I will be discussing some of that, some of their backstory, but today we are just going to be doing the concept sketching, get her drawn out in the pose that I'm looking to create her in, and then in the following videos, we will go about creating her in the 3D space, just like we did with Karin. I'm super excited to get started. Let's go. Alright guys, so here we are back in Sketchbook, and this is the software that I use on my tablet whenever I am doing concept sketches for my characters. This here is, you can see I did just a basic overall outline of what I want the character to look like. Now in my previous video, I drew the character straight up and down, just standing there. I figured this time around for her, I'm going to try and put her into the pose that I eventually want to print her out in and just do the concept sketch like that and see how it turns out. Something new that I'm trying. Now I'm going to go ahead and add a layer here. And right before I start doing the detail work, just in here selecting a tool. I'll probably just go ahead and use the pencil. I don't see the marker I was going to use. Yeah, I'll just use pencil. But isn't one thing that's important to note while I'm going through this process. So as I design out all of these characters, and as I design out pretty much all of them for the channel, this is essentially what I am visualizing as kind of like a level 1 version of the character. So this is them before they start the adventure, or earlier on into their adventures. You know, they have some gear, they have weapons, but really, if you've ever played an RPG like Dungeons and Dragons, or if you've ever played like an RPG on video games, you know that when a character starts out, they do not have very good gear. They're just kind of getting their adventure going, and that's the idea that I'm going with all of these characters. Now, I do this for two reasons. First reason is because I want to make these videos as short as possible. I want to make sure that you guys can stay engaged, but also I also want you guys to be able to follow along if you're learning the process for yourself. And I don't want to get too into the weeds when it comes to detailing out armor or, you know, weapons. I just kind of want to keep these as simple as possible. And eventually I may go back and do more detailed versions of the characters. But for now, I just figured this was a great place to start, a great place to introduce the characters to you guys. Now here I'm going in, I'm going to start detailing out her mouth. She, of course, is an orc. She has tusks just like Karin. However, their jawline, the female jawline on my characters, is a lot less intense. It's still there, of course, because she does have to support those tusks and the muscles that actually bring them out. You know, she is by no means traditionally beautiful, but according to the lore that I've written, Karin just thinks she's the most beautiful thing in the world. He is totally in love with her. And unfortunately, that feeling is not mutual. So just to give you guys a little background on the story, Karin is from another of the orc tribes that is nearby where Karin grew up. And early on, Karin's family was killed by an orc warrior of Karin's tribe, and it turns out that she was in love with him. Now, this warrior was very young. He was 15, 16 at the time, same age as Karin, and Karin was actually out on the sea with his people. Now, Karin comes back. His family's been killed. His uncle, who's the chief, survived, and his uncle takes him in to raise him. In the meantime, Karin goes and extracts revenge, challenges the killer of his parents to a one-on-one duel, and bests him. So there is Karin without the love of her life, and the only thing that she knows is that Karin is the person responsible. A couple of years go by, these characters become adults, and it is established that in order to create peace, there has to be a wedding. The uncle, of course, puts Karin, their greatest warrior, up for the marriage agreement, and since Karin is the only woman in her tribe that is not married, the neighboring tribe puts her up for the wedding proposal. Now, Karin, knowing full well who Karin is and what he has done, she loathes the idea. However, she does want peace for her clan, so she reluctantly agrees. Karin, having no idea what he has done to this woman, just falls head over heels in love with her and marries her outright. Now, early on, he does realize her feelings for him, but he feels that if he shows her his love, he can eventually get her to love him on the same level. Now, within this culture, it is 100% okay for a wife to fight her way to freedom. If she bests her husband, she is more than welcome to walk away. And she tries this several times. And of course, a Karin who is clueless thinks that these attempts are just sparring matches. He thinks she's adorable. He bests her every time because he is the greatest warrior in their clan. Part of warrior training in the orc tribes is becoming immune to all forms of poison and being hyper aware of your surroundings at all times, which basically means that a rogue like Karin is not going to have a very easy time killing him. Now, as the story progresses, I can share they do eventually fall in love with each other. Karin being on missions with Karin, watching how he is willing to sacrifice himself at a moment's notice to protect her, does eventually bring her around to realizing his value. They do eventually become an unstoppable pair, and as the story progresses, they are a very, very happy couple. As I continue the designing here, I'm keeping her outfit pretty simple. Outside of the leather pauldrons, she is going to be very, very basic in her attire. She is a rogue. She needs to be able to move. She needs to be able to get into places silently. So she doesn't want to wear any heavy, clanky armor, just her leather pauldrons, just her outfit. Giving her a little bit of a scalped cape here. I am making her muscular, of course. She's a little bit of a muscle mommy. Nothing wrong with that. But I do feel that this is like the only thing that Karin would really be attracted to is somebody who is very strong and very able to take care of themselves. Now the theme here is, of course, Vikings with my orcs. Again, their attire is very basic. It's patchwork. It's put together, just from raids, from people basically they've conquered. So really nothing too crazy in the form of super detailed or super crafted armor or anything like that. We're going to keep it basic. Again, eventually I will get to a point where I am detailing out these characters in better armor. I think that is a hope that I have further down the road on the channel, but we won't see that for quite a while. I am adding a little bit of body paint to her. I'm not sure if I'm going to do that here. Just going to kind of keep it basic. And again, her knives, I might do a little bit more with her knives when I get into the 3D space. I'm not sure. But overall, guys, this is Karin, our Orc Rogue, wife to Karin. I'm really, really happy with the way that she's looking. I think she's going to be super fun to create in the 3D space. I may go back over, do a little bit more work in the way of making sure that she's looking the way that she's supposed to look in relation to her proportions and stuff to the other characters. Again, I might detail in some makeup work there. But overall, I could not be happier with her. Let me know what you guys think. Okay, as always, guys, thank you so much for the support. Please like, share, subscribe. You guys know the drill. Comment if you guys have another idea for another character you'd like me to do. And I will check in later.